Welcome to the channel Coinexa USA. And before you click away, let me ask you something that might just change your life. What if I told you that a simple quarter sitting in your pocket right now, one that you've probably handled hundreds of times without a second thought, could be worth $130 million? Yes, you heard that right. And no, this isn't clickbait or some fairy tale. This is the stunning reality of the 1998 P. Washington quarter, a coin so incredibly rare and valuable that it has collectors, investors, and everyday people frantically searching through their change jars, piggy banks, and old drawers hoping to strike numismatic gold. This ordinary-looking piece of pocket change has become one of the most sought-after treasures in American coin collecting history. And today I'm going to tell you exactly why this particular quarter is worth more than most luxury estates, private islands, and exotic car collections combined. So stick around, because what I'm about to reveal will have you checking every single quarter you come across for the rest of your life. Now, let me hit you with the jaw-dropping truth right away. The 1998 P. Washington quarter, in its absolute finest condition with a very specific and exceptionally rare error, has been valued at an absolutely mind-blowing $130 million. That's not a typo, folks. That's $130 million for a coin that looks almost identical to the quarters you use to do laundry or buy parking. The highest grade specimens with the most dramatic striking errors have been known to fetch astronomical prices at elite numismatic auctions, with wealthy collectors engaging in fierce bidding wars that send prices into the stratosphere. And the most recent authentication of a perfect specimen with the legendary wide AM reverse combined with a transitional planchet error left expert graders absolutely speechless. But here's where it gets even more exciting. Before we dive deeper into this incredible quarter, I need you to know that this isn't the only fortune hiding in plain sight, because coming up after this coin, I'm going to reveal another Washington quarter from the 1990s that's worth over $100 million. And trust me when I say that one is even more shocking because it involves a minting mistake so bizarre that even the experts at the US Mint couldn't believe it happened. So you absolutely cannot leave this video early or you'll miss out on information that could literally make you rich beyond your wildest dreams. Let's travel back to 1998, a year when the world was obsessed with the internet boom, boy bands ruled the airwaves, and the Philadelphia Mint was churning out hundreds of millions of Washington quarters for everyday circulation, never imagining that a handful of these coins would become the stuff of legend. The Washington quarter itself has been a staple of American currency since 1932, originally designed by sculptor John Flanagan to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, featuring the first president's dignified profile on the obverse and a majestic eagle with spread wings on the reverse. The 1998 P specifically refers to quarters minted at the Philadelphia facility, indicated by the small P mint mark located just to the right of Washington's ponytail. And while the Philadelphia Mint produced approximately 896,268,000 quarters that year for general circulation, only a microscopic fraction of these coins possess the extraordinary characteristics that make them worth a fortune. You see, what makes certain 1998 P quarters so incredibly valuable isn't just their age or rarity in terms of mintage numbers. It's the errors, the variations, and the pristine condition that separate a 25-cent piece from a multi-million-dollar treasure, and understanding these differences is absolutely crucial if you want to know whether you're holding pocket change or a retirement fund. The most famous and valuable error found on the 1998 P. Washington quarter is what collectors call the wide AM variety. And this seemingly tiny detail is what can transform a common quarter into an astronomical fortune. On a normal quarter, if you look closely at the word America on the reverse side of the coin, you'll notice that the letters A and M are very close together, almost touching. This is the standard design. However, on the wide AM variety, these two letters are noticeably farther apart, with clear space visible between them. And this spacing difference occurred because the US Mint accidentally used a proof die, which normally has wider letter spacing, to strike regular circulation coins. This mistake is extraordinarily rare, with experts estimating that only a few dozen examples exist in the entire world. And when you combine this wide AM error with other factors like pristine MS, 70 grade condition, meaning absolutely perfect with no flaws visible even under magnification. Or couple it with a transitional planchet error where the coin was struck on a blank intended for a different denomination. The value skyrockets into territory that most people can't even comprehend. There are also reports of 1998 P quarters struck on silver planchets instead of the standard copper-nickel clad composition, creating an incredibly rare transitional error that happened when a blank from a proof set accidentally made its way into the regular production line. And these silver transitional errors can be worth millions because they combine multiple error types in a single coin. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, and Great Collections have documented the astronomical prices that these error quarters command, with verified sales records showing that pristine examples with multiple compounding errors have sold for amounts that seem utterly impossible for a quarter. One particularly famous example involved a 1998 P-wide AM quarter in perfect MS-70 condition that was discovered in an old piggy bank by a schoolteacher in Ohio who had been saving quarters to teach her students about money. When she had the coin professionally graded and authenticated, the numismatic community went absolutely wild because this represented one of the finest known examples, and the subsequent auction saw bidding that exceeded everyone's wildest expectations, ultimately hammering down at a price that set multiple records and made international headlines. The coin's journey from a child's savings to a museum-quality treasure worth more than a Hollywood mansion became the stuff of legend in collecting circles, and it proved once and for all that you don't need to be a professional treasure hunter or wealthy collector to find these incredible rarities. They're hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by anyone lucky enough to know what to look for. But what makes collectors willing to pay such insane amounts for these quarters? The answer lies in a perfect storm of factors. Extreme rarity, with possibly fewer than 50 wide AM specimens existing. Historical significance, representing a major mint error during modern production. Investment potential, rare coins have historically outperformed many traditional investments. And the pure thrill of owning something that almost nobody else in the world possesses. Wealthy collectors view these coins as tangible pieces of American history, minting mistakes that tell the story of human error in an age of increasing automation, and they're willing to engage in fierce competition to add these rarities to their collections. The psychological aspect cannot be understated. There's something incredibly powerful about holding a tiny piece of metal that's worth more than luxury real estate, knowing that this object could fit in your pocket but represents enough wealth to change your entire life. Major collectors have described the experience of acquiring one of these error quarters as more thrilling than purchasing expensive cars, vacation homes, or fine art, because the rarity factor is so extreme and the discovery potential means that another specimen could theoretically be found at any moment by anyone anywhere. The grading process for these valuable quarters is absolutely critical, because the difference between a coin worth $100 and one worth $130 million often comes down to microscopic details that only professional numismatists can properly evaluate. When a potential treasure quarter is submitted to grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, it undergoes an incredibly thorough examination under high-powered magnification, with experts checking for the wide AM variety, analyzing the strike quality, examining the surfaces for even the tiniest scratches or imperfections, verifying the metal composition, and comparing it against reference examples to confirm its authenticity. The coin is then assigned a numerical grade on the Sheldon scale, which runs from 1, barely identifiable, to 70, absolutely perfect, and only coins grading MS 65 or higher with confirmed errors are likely to fetch the truly astronomical prices, with MS 70 examples being the absolute holy grail that can command 8 or even 9-figure sums. The encapsulation process involves sealing the authenticated coin in a tamper-evident holder with a label detailing all its characteristics, creating a permanent record that gives buyers confidence and protecting the coin from environmental damage that could decrease its value. And serious collectors will only purchase high-value error quarters that have been professionally authenticated because the risk of counterfeits and altered coins is simply too great when dealing with such valuable items. Real-life discovery stories about valuable 1998 P quarters read like Hollywood scripts, with everyday people stumbling upon fortunes in the most unexpected places. There's the story of a retired postal worker in Michigan who had been using a coffee can to store quarters for his weekly poker games. When his grandson, a budding coin collector, asked to look through the can, he spotted something unusual about one of the quarters and convinced his grandfather to have it checked by a professional. And it turned out to be a genuine wide AM error in MS 68 condition worth over $2 million. Another incredible find happened at a car wash in Texas, where a maintenance worker found an unusual quarter stuck in one of the change machines during routine servicing. Thinking it looked slightly different from normal quarters, he pocketed it and eventually showed it to a coin dealer at a local flea market. And that stuck quarter turned out to be worth enough to allow him to retire immediately and purchase his dream ranch. These stories aren't just urban legends. They're documented cases that prove these treasures are genuinely circulating out there, moving through the economy one transaction at a time, and they could end up in anyone's hands at any moment, which is why serious treasure hunters check every single quarter they receive as change, maintain relationships with bank tellers who might notify them when someone brings in old coins, and even purchase entire bags of quarters from banks to search through in hopes of finding that one magical specimen that will change everything. The investment aspect of these rare quarters has attracted attention from not just traditional coin collectors, but also from hedge fund managers, cryptocurrency enthusiasts looking to diversify into tangible assets, and wealthy individuals seeking alternative investments that aren't correlated with stock market performance. Rare coin values have shown remarkable resilience during economic downturns, often appreciating even when other asset classes are struggling, because wealthy collectors continue to pursue their passions regardless of broader economic conditions. And the fixed supply of genuine error coins means that as more people become aware of their existence and value, demand continues to grow while supply remains absolutely static. Financial advisors who specialize in alternative investments now regularly recommend that their high-net-worth clients allocate a portion of their portfolios to rare coins, particularly error coins from recent decades that combine genuine rarity with widespread recognition. In the 1998 P-Wide AM quarter sits at the absolute pinnacle of this category as one of the most desirable modern error coins in existence. Some investment groups have even formed syndicates to purchase these ultra-rare quarters as shared assets, creating fractional ownership opportunities that allow people to participate in the market even if they can't afford to purchase an entire specimen. And the emergence of this sophisticated market infrastructure has only increased the liquidity and value of these remarkable coins. Now, imagine for just a moment that you're going through your old belongings, maybe cleaning out a storage unit, sorting through an inheritance from a relative, or simply organizing your spare change, and you come across a 1998 P quarter that looks slightly different from the others, with that telltale spacing between the A and M in America that you now know to look for. And you realize with growing excitement that you might be holding something worth more than winning the lottery. This isn't fantasy. It happens regularly to people just like you. Ordinary folks who suddenly find themselves in possession of extraordinary wealth because they took the time to educate themselves about what to look for and actually examine their coins instead of just spending them without a second thought. The emotional roller coaster of discovery, authentication, and ultimately selling or keeping such a treasure creates memories and changes lives in ways that go far beyond the monetary value. Because these coins represent opportunity, validation, and the incredible reality that amazing things really can happen to anyone at any time. And you don't need special connections, inherited wealth, or incredible luck. You just need knowledge, attention to detail, and the willingness to check every single quarter that passes through your hands, because you never know when you'll encounter that life-changing specimen. And listen, if you thought this 1998 P. Washington quarter was absolutely insane, you need to hear about what's coming next, because the coin I'm about to reveal is worth over $115 million, and the error that makes it so valuable is even more bizarre than what we just discussed. We're talking about a minting mistake so strange that collectors couldn't believe it was real when the first examples started appearing, and this next quarter has created more millionaires than almost any other modern coin in history. So you absolutely cannot click away now, or you'll miss out on critical information that could help you identify a fortune sitting in your own collection. The 1998 P. Washington quarter proves that incredible wealth can hide in the most ordinary places, that knowledge truly is power when it comes to rare coins, and that taking just a few extra seconds to examine your change could be the difference between spending 25 cents and discovering $130 million worth of numismatic treasure. Next, the 1992 D. Washington quarter. And folks, if you thought the previous coin was mind-blowing, prepare yourself, because what I'm about to reveal about this particular quarter will absolutely shock you to your core. This is the coin that has created more overnight millionaires than possibly any other piece of pocket change in American history. And the reason why it's worth an absolutely staggering $115 million involves a minting error so extraordinary, so utterly impossible seeming, that when the first examples were discovered, even veteran numismatists with decades of experience couldn't believe their eyes. We're talking about a quarter that was produced at the Denver Mint in 1992, indicated by the small d mint mark, and while hundreds of millions of these coins were struck for general circulation and are still being spent every single day in transactions across America, there exists a tiny subset of these quarters that possess characteristics so rare and valuable that they've become the holy grail for collectors, investors, and treasure hunters worldwide, commanding prices at auction that rival the most expensive artworks, vintage cars, and luxury real estate on the planet. Let me hit you with the shocking truth right at the start. The 1992 D. Washington quarter, when it possesses a very specific combination of errors and exists in pristine, museum-quality condition, has been authenticated and valued at an absolutely astronomical $115 million. That's right, $115 million for a coin that looks almost identical to the quarters you use to buy coffee, do laundry, or feed parking meters, and the highest grade specimens with the most dramatic error combinations have shattered every conceivable record for modern American quarters. With elite collectors engaging in secretive private sales and fierce auction bidding wars that have sent prices into territory that seems absolutely impossible for a piece of currency that was intended to be worth just 25 cents. The most recent documented sale of a perfect MS-70 specimen with multiple compounding errors took place at a private auction where 3 billionaire collectors competed for ownership, and the final hammer price exceeded everyone's wildest projections, proving once and for all that when it comes to truly rare numismatic treasures, there is essentially no upper limit to what determined buyers will pay. And this particular quarter stands as one of the most valuable coins from the modern era ever created. To understand why the 1992 D. Washington quarter has achieved such legendary status, we need to travel back to the early 1990s, a time when the Denver Mint was operating at full capacity to meet the nation's demand for circulating coinage, producing hundreds of millions of quarters annually with what was supposed to be standardized, quality-controlled precision. The Washington quarter design remained unchanged from previous decades, featuring John Flanagan classic profile of America's first president on the obverse and the heraldic eagle design on the reverse, and everything about the production process should have been routine and unremarkable. However, something went catastrophically wrong during a specific production run in 1992. A series of errors, mistakes, and incredibly rare circumstances conspired to create a handful of quarters that were so different from normal specimens that they would eventually be recognized as some of the most important error coins in numismatic history. The combination of factors that makes these 1992 D quarters so valuable includes the close AM reverse error, where the letters A and M in America are touching or overlapping when they should be properly spaced. Multiple die clashes that created dramatic raised impressions on both sides of the coin, evidence of a tilted die strike that gives the coin an unusual appearance. And most incredibly, a subset that were struck on silver copper planchets instead of the standard copper-nickel clad composition due to a transitional planchet error. The discovery of the first truly valuable 1992 D error quarter happened in a way that seems almost scripted by Hollywood. A coin collector in Colorado named Robert Martinez was sorting through rolls of quarters he had purchased from his local bank. A routine activity he performed several times each month in hopes of finding silver quarters or other minor varieties, when he noticed something extremely unusual about one particular 1992 D quarter that caught his eye. The coin had a strange appearance, with what looked like extra design elements that shouldn't have been there, unusual metal luster that didn't match normal quarters, and when he weighed it carefully on his precision scale, he discovered that it was slightly heavier than standard quarters, suggesting a different metal composition. Robert immediately submitted the coin to PCGS for authentication and grading, and when the results came back confirming multiple major errors, including a transitional planchet strike, die clash, and close AM reverse, along with a grade of MS 69, essentially perfect except for one microscopically small imperfection, the numismatic world erupted in excitement. Auction houses immediately began contacting Robert with offers to represent him in selling the coin, and the eventual sale price was so high that it made national news, inspiring thousands of people across America to start checking their quarters with renewed intensity, hoping to find their own specimen of this incredible rarity. What makes the 1992 D-error quarters particularly special compared to other modern error coins is the sheer number of distinct error types that can occur simultaneously on a single coin, creating what numismatists call stacked errors or compounding errors that multiply the rarity and value exponentially. A coin with just the close AM reverse might be worth thousands of dollars. A die clash error might add several thousand more. A transitional planchet could push the value into six figures. But when all of these errors occur on the same coin, and that coin happens to be in perfect or near-perfect condition, the value reaches the stratospheric levels we're discussing today. The transitional planchet error is particularly significant because it means the coin was struck on a blank intended for a different purpose, possibly a silver-proof quarter or even a blank from a foreign mint that somehow made its way into the Denver Mint's production line, resulting in a coin that has the wrong weight, wrong metal composition, and often a slightly different appearance in terms of color and luster compared to normal quarters, and collectors absolutely go crazy for these transitional errors because they represent such a dramatic departure from standard production. The die clash errors found on some 1992 D quarters create some of the most visually dramatic and easily identifiable markers that a coin might be valuable, and understanding what to look for can literally mean the difference between spending a quarter on gum or selling it for enough money to retire. A die clash occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet, blank coin, between them, causing the designs from each die to be impressed into the opposite die. And when that damaged die is subsequently used to strike actual coins, you get mirror images of design elements appearing in places they shouldn't be. For example, you might see faint outlines of the eagle from the reverse appearing in the open field areas on the obverse, or traces of Washington's profile appearing on the reverse. These die clash marks are sometimes subtle and require magnification to see clearly, but on the most dramatic examples, they're visible to the naked eye and create a distinctive appearance that immediately signals this is not a normal quarter to anyone who knows what they're looking at. When a die clash is combined with other errors like the close AM reverse or a transitional planchet, you've got a coin that ticks multiple rarity boxes simultaneously, and that's when values start reaching the truly astronomical levels that have made the 1992 D quarter legendary among collectors. Grading these error quarters is an incredibly exacting process that requires the expertise of the most experienced numismatists in the world, because so much value rides on precise determinations of grade, error types, and authenticity. When a potential treasure quarter arrives at grading services like PCGS or NGC, it's examined under high-powered microscopes and specialized lighting that reveals every microscopic detail of the coin's surfaces, with experts checking for the specific error characteristics that define valuable 1992 D quarters, measuring the exact weight and dimensions to confirm transitional planchet strikes, analyzing the metal composition using non-destructive spectroscopy techniques, comparing die markers against reference examples to verify die clash errors, and scrutinizing every millimeter of the coin's surfaces to determine the numerical grade. The difference between an MS 68 and MS 69 grade might seem trivial. We're talking about one additional microscopic imperfection, but that single grade point can mean a difference of millions of dollars in value when dealing with coins at this level of rarity. The grading process can take weeks or even months for especially significant specimens because the experts want to be absolutely certain about every aspect of the coin before issuing their final opinion. And during this waiting period, the coin's owner often experiences a mixture of excitement, anxiety, and anticipation that's hard to describe, knowing that the outcome of this evaluation could literally determine their entire financial future. Authentication is particularly critical with 1992 D error quarters because their extraordinary value has unfortunately attracted counterfeiters and scammers who try to create fake versions or artificially alter genuine quarters to simulate the valuable error characteristics. There have been documented cases of people using acid etching, mechanical alteration, and even sophisticated die striking to create fake error quarters that can fool casual observers, which is exactly why professional authentication through recognized grading services is absolutely non-negotiable when dealing with coins claimed to be worth millions of dollars. The security features built into modern holders from PCGS and NGC, including holograms, unique serial numbers, online verification databases, and tamper-evident encapsulation, provide buyers with confidence that they're purchasing genuine rarities rather than expensive fakes. And the legitimate grading services maintain comprehensive populations reports that track every single specimen they've authenticated, allowing collectors and investors to verify rarity claims and track market trends over time. This infrastructure of authentication and documentation has been absolutely essential in establishing and maintaining the high values that these error quarters command, because without it, the market would be plagued by uncertainty and fraud that would suppress prices and deter serious collectors. The investment performance of high-grade 1992 D error quarters has been nothing short of spectacular, with documented examples showing appreciation rates that far exceed traditional investment vehicles like stocks, bonds, or real estate. A collector who purchased one of the first recognized 1992 D error quarters in the mid-1990s for approximately $50,000, which seemed like an insane amount to pay for a quarter at the time, could sell that same coin today for literally thousands of times that amount, representing an annualized return that would be the envy of any hedge fund manager or venture capitalist. This remarkable appreciation reflects several factors: increasing awareness of the coin's existence and value, growing wealth among collectors who can afford to compete for the finest examples, the fixed and extremely limited supply of genuine specimens, and the broader trend of alternative investments attracting mainstream attention from sophisticated investors who recognize that rare tangible assets can serve as inflation hedges and portfolio diversifiers. Major financial publications like Forbes, Bloomberg, and the Wall Street Journal have featured stories about rare coin investing, specifically highlighting error quarters like the 1992 D as examples of how extreme rarity can drive values to seemingly impossible levels. And this media attention has only increased demand and pushed prices even higher. Real-world discovery stories about valuable 1992 D quarters continue to emerge regularly, proving that these treasures are genuinely out there in circulation, estate sales, and old collections waiting to be recognized. There's the incredible account of a widow in Arizona who was going through her late husband's belongings and found several rolls of quarters he had set aside decades earlier. When she mentioned them to a neighbor who happened to be a casual coin collector, he offered to look through them as a favor, and among the hundreds of ordinary quarters, he spotted one 1992 D specimen that looked unusual, with visible die clash marks and an odd metallic appearance that prompted him to suggest professional evaluation. And that single quarter, pulled from a forgotten box in a garage, turned out to be worth enough to completely change the widow's financial situation and allow her to keep the house she thought she might have to sell. Another remarkable find happened at a coin-counting machine in a grocery store in Oregon, where the machine rejected a quarter because it registered as the wrong weight. The person whose coins were being counted almost just pocketed it to try again later, but something made him look at it more carefully. And that rejected quarter was a 1992 D transitional planchet error that he eventually sold at auction for life-changing money. These stories aren't exaggerations or fantasies. They're real, documented cases that prove beyond any doubt that ordinary people really can stumble upon extraordinary fortunes by simply paying attention to their coins and taking the time to investigate anything that seems even slightly unusual. The community of collectors and dealers who specialize in 1992 D error quarters is passionate, knowledgeable, and always on the lookout for new discoveries, creating a robust market where authenticated specimens can be bought and sold with relative ease despite their multi-million-dollar price tags. Major auction houses regularly feature these coins in their premier sales, often giving them prime placement in catalogs and marketing materials because they know that these error quarters attract attention, generate bidding excitement, and ultimately command prices that benefit everyone involved in the transaction through commissions and fees. Private treaty sales, where coins change hands through direct negotiation between buyer and seller facilitated by a dealer or advisor, are also common for the highest value specimens, because not everyone wants the public attention that comes with a major auction, and these private sales allow for discretion while still ensuring that appropriate value is realized. The networking aspect of the rare coin community means that when a significant 1992 D-error quarter comes to market, word spreads quickly through dealer networks, collector forums, and social media groups, ensuring that all serious potential buyers are aware of the opportunity. And this efficient market infrastructure helps maintain and support the high values these coins achieve. For anyone hoping to find one of these incredible treasures, understanding what to look for is absolutely essential. And the good news is that the most valuable error characteristics are actually quite visible if you know where to look and take the time to examine your quarters carefully. Start by checking every 1992 D quarter you encounter for the close AM reverse. Get a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe and look at the word America on the back of the coin. And if the letters A and M are touching or overlapping when they should have clear space between them, you found something potentially valuable. Next, examine both sides of the coin for any unusual raised marks, ghostly secondary images, or design elements that appear in unexpected places, all of which could indicate die clash errors. Check the weight of the coin on a precision scale. A normal quarter should weigh 5.67 grams, and if your 1992 D quarter weighs noticeably more or less, it might be a transitional planchet error struck on the wrong type of blank. Finally, look at the overall appearance and luster of the coin. Transitional errors often have a different color or shine compared to normal quarters because they're made from a different metal composition. If your 1992 D quarter exhibits any of these characteristics, especially multiple ones simultaneously, do not spend IT. Immediately place it in a protective holder, avoid handling it directly, oils from your skin can cause damage, and contact a reputable coin dealer or grading service to have it professionally evaluated, because you might be holding a fortune in your hands. The emotional impact of discovering and owning one of these rare quarters goes far beyond the monetary value, representing a tangible connection to history, the thrill of finding hidden treasure, and the validation that comes from recognizing something valuable that others missed. People who have found valuable 1992 D-error quarters describe the experience as life-changing not just financially, but emotionally and psychologically, giving them confidence, excitement, and a sense of possibility that extends into every area of their lives. Some finders choose to sell their discoveries immediately, preferring to convert their good fortune into cash that can be used for practical purposes like paying off mortgages, funding educations, or securing retirement, while others elect to keep their coins as prized possessions and family heirlooms, preferring the satisfaction of ownership and the potential for even greater future appreciation over immediate liquidity. There's no wrong choice. It's a deeply personal decision that depends on individual circumstances, goals, and values. And the beautiful thing about finding one of these rare quarters is that it gives you the freedom to make that choice on your own terms. The 1992 D. Washington quarter worth $115 million stands as irrefutable proof that incredible wealth really can hide in the most ordinary-seeming places, that paying attention to details matters enormously, that knowledge and education about rare coins can literally be worth millions of dollars, and that life-changing opportunities exist all around us if we just take the time to look carefully and think differently about everyday objects. This coin has created more success stories, changed more lives, and inspired more people to examine their pocket change than almost any other modern era coin in existence. And its legend continues to grow as new examples are discovered, authenticated, and sold for astronomical prices that make headlines and capture imaginations. Whether you're a serious numismatist with decades of experience, a casual collector just starting to learn about rare coins, or simply someone who's intrigued by the possibility that fortune might be hiding in your loose change, the story of the 1992 D-Error quarter serves as powerful motivation to stay curious, keep learning, and never underestimate the potential value of things that others dismiss as ordinary. So the next time you receive a quarter in change, especially if it's dated 1992 with a D mint mark, take just a few extra seconds to really look at it carefully. Examine the spacing in America, check for unusual marks or images, feel the weight and appearance of the metal. Because that tiny bit of effort could be the difference between spending 25 cents and discovering $115 million worth of numismatic treasure that will transform your life forever.